Welcome. Many thanks for attending the Q&A session. My name's Andrew Megginson and I'm one of 5 service owners here at the Planning Inspectorate, and I cover the local plans area of the service. The aim today is to try and give you a better feel for the roles that we've got advertised and to understand the kind of core skills, values and role of a planning inspector in the 2 different areas of the business that we're looking to recruiting. Just to be clear, we've also got roles at a band 2 level and a band 3 level. So those 2 bands reflect the kind of more senior areas of the inspectorate in terms of the type of work that those inspectors are undertaking. So we have band 1s, band 2s and band 3s. So band 3 is kind of the most senior inspectors delivering the most kind of difficult, complex casework. So these roles that we're looking to recruit into exist in 2 of our 5 service areas. So we've got a number of roles at band 2 and band 3 level within the plans examination service, and then also a number in the infrastructure decisions and application service. And the other 5 services reflect the different sort of breadth of work that we do in terms of sort of more regular sort of house kind of appeals in the high volume work that we do in planning and environmental appeals, and more specialist types of casework such as rights of way, etc. So I think I'm passing on to Pauline Lane, who's going to just take you through a little bit about the role of inspectors. Over to you, Pauline. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. And my name is Pauline Lane. I'm the professional lead for infrastructure, applications and decision service. Some of you will be aware that that includes the decisions on development consent orders under the Planning Act 2008, but we'll also be including Highways Act and Transport and Works Acts under new legislation which is coming forward. And we're also, as Andrew has said, recruiting for the local plan service, which includes the examination of local plans. And again, those things are changing slightly in terms of new legislation coming through the system. The key thing that's different about being an inspector, and for those of us who've come from a technical background, I've worked as an engineer for many years, both directly on construction sites and also advising on major projects, is that it is a different role. You are moving into somebody who has to evaluate information, but you are also have to be seen as an independent decision maker. You're not trying to interfere to optimise the project as you might be doing in your current role, but you need to analyse what is being presented to you and to test it against things like policy, legislation, etc. We also have to do that in a way which is engaging with members of the public, particularly those who are less familiar with the system, but also major stakeholders such as the applicants, local authorities and other advisory bodies. And all of that is done in a way which ensures that the planning system is seen to operate fairly, and it's very important. It's one of the features of this system that people get a fair crack of the whip at the process, but also that they can understand what's happening in the system. And the reason why that's important is that what the outcome of all of our recommendations and decisions amounts to is big influences on the local environment, the economy, and society as a whole. So whether it's a local plan looking at housing allocations or local energy needs, for example, or it's a nationally significant infrastructure project. You'll seen recently, for example, the decision on Lower Thames Crossing, Thames Tideway Tunnel. There's a lot going on in terms of carbon capture and storage, for example. All of those things will influence both current and future environment and society issues. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague Simon, who is going to talk a bit about the values of the Inspectorate and the work that we do.
Yeah, thank you, Pauline. So I'm Simon Barclay. I'm the professional lead for local plans. Yeah, just to sort of amplify a little bit, really, what Pauline has just said there. So this is our values, what we are all about. So I don't know if you've ever heard of the Franks Principles, but they, quick history lesson here. In 1957, it was the Franks Committee looked at the conduct of administrative tribunals and declared that they should be characterised by 3 things: openness, fairness and impartiality, and those are sort of in a nutshell what we refer to today as the Franks Principles. And for inspectors, I like to think of it as our sort of code of chivalry, if you like, and it's the sort of foundation of everything we do. It's very firmly in our heads and hearts, and if inspectors were a stick of rock, openness, fairness and impartiality would be the words running down through the middle. So now, as you can see from the slide, we do have a slightly modernised from 1957. We do have a modernised version that now includes customer focused as part of our core values. So all of these four core values, really, for me at least, are about maintaining trust in the inspector, and consequently maintaining trust in the wider system. And I'd go as far as to say, to be honest, that this is a big part of what success looks like for us. And to hear from customers who write in and say that they absolutely hated the inspector's decision, but are really grateful for the open, fair and impartial way that he or she sort of dealt with everyone involved. For us, that's a really massive part of what we do. And on to Tracy, I think, now.
Hi, I'm Tracy Cassell. I'm the recruitment officer. We currently have 14 positions for the Band 2 role. We have currently got 20 positions for the Band 3. For this role, it is home-based, so you'll need to make sure that you have space to work from at home. Your travel and expenses will be covered by us. The role is full-time, and we do offer part-time working, flexible working as well. There is also a number of benefits which come with it. So we've got the pension scheme. We have also got a generous maternity cover. So once you've been with us for 26 weeks, you would get full pay for 6 months, then move on to SMP only. We have a recognition scheme. We also have access to employee assistance program, eye test, and flu jabs. So there's a wealth of different benefits to working within the civil service.
Yeah, I mean, this is to sort of give the pretty sort of strong message, really, that yes, do you know what? A lot of inspectors are planners. They are town planners. But you don't need to be a planner to be an inspector. We've got some good examples showing on the slide here. Engineers, legal profession, architects. In fact, we do have quite a few inspectors currently who are from other disciplines. So, just if you aren't a planner and you're thinking about applying, well, don't let the fact that you aren't a planner put you off. That's the real message that I wanted to get across here. Yeah, as I said, you don't have to be a planner, and that's because really it's about the skills that you have and their sort of transferability to these roles. And for me, I think the ability to analyse large volumes of complex information and to understand what it all means when sort of seen through the lens of legislation and national policy are really important skills to bring to the role. That's absolutely what we're looking for. We're looking for people who are capable of making decisions independently, but also capable of reaching decisions jointly with one other person, or perhaps as part of a larger panel as well. And also the ability to set out cogent and robust reasoning for those decisions are sort of those really sort of essential core skills that we're looking for here. So if you can do all of that, then you're probably halfway there. Then, of course, though, there is the people side of things. You'll need to be capable of managing challenging events. For example, hearings where you do get people with very strongly held views on either side of the argument, in a forum where emotions can sometimes run really high. So you'll need to be able to keep a calm head and remain firmly in charge, and applying the Franks principles that I mentioned earlier will help you with that. Yeah, perhaps worth mentioning as well from the slide that travel. So in terms of travel. So inspectors aren't necessarily given particular geographical areas that they cover as such. So, you know, your casework could be in any part of England and Wales for infrastructure work. So, you know, you do get to see quite a bit of the country in this job. And for me anyway, that's one of the perks or the rewards of it. Really, this is to sort of let you know if having heard about some of the stuff from the previous slide, if that hasn't put you off, right, you know, we won't just sort of give you the job and drop you in at the deep end. You know, we do have a very comprehensive induction package, from basic stuff like onboarding, using your laptop and that kind of stuff, and other general civil service stuff as well that we're all required to do. So all of that through to training in appeal casework, particularly on specific tricky topic areas like green belt, for example, plus training in holding hearings. So I should mention, so you would get appeal training because really all inspectors need to have the ability, I think, to do appeals. And, you know, during local plan or infrastructure work, there may well be periods of time where you do have time to pick up other smaller, you know, short-term pieces of work. So that really is appeals basically, and we kind of need that flexibility in our workforce. And I think, you know, from a professional viewpoint, it serves inspectors well to experience how things are playing out in appeals. For example, you know, if you're doing local plan examinations, how the sorts of policies that you're actually recommending are being applied through planning applications and the appeal process. So looking further down the line then, there will also be kind of opportunities, you know, to train in specialist casework areas as well, like minerals and waste, for example, or heritage cases and others. So, you know, if you want to add even more variety and spice to your life, then there may well be the opportunities to do that. So training, yeah, it's not kind of, you know, something that gets done to you and then off you go to do the job. So you'll get lots of mentoring and support from other experienced inspectors. So just to sort of explain, inspectors are put into groups of around 10 or so, and each group has an experienced inspector manager, the IM, and you'll find your IM to be a caring font of wisdom, there to look after you and help you with the conundrums that you'll no doubt face. And you know, if your IM is scratching his or her head over a particular problem, well, that's what Pauline and I are here to help with as well. I should say, yeah, you know, there are also lots of other regular learning and development opportunities through meetings of inspector groups and bigger gatherings as well. So, you know, for example, I run an in-person event for all local plan inspectors every year, and I think that Pauline does something similar in infrastructure work as well. So really the overall message I want to leave with you here is that, yes, you know, being an inspector is a big and frankly difficult job, but you will get lots of support when you need it, and plenty of opportunity for ongoing development and learning as well. Yeah, so we thought it would be a good idea for you all to hear from some not just to take it from me, I suppose, but to hear from some current inspectors who have joined local plans and or infrastructure directly in the way that you're interested in doing here, to sort of see what they have to say about their experiences. So I'm pleased to say that we have Yvonne Wright, who, as it happens, is a local plan inspector, who's here to talk to us a little bit about her experiences, and also Yvonne and another experienced inspector, Janine Laver, who's an infrastructure inspector, is going to hang around for the Q&A session as well. So Yvonne.
Thank you, Simon. As Simon has said, Yvonne Wright. I'm currently now a Band 3 inspector, but I came into the organisation 10.5 years ago, directly into Band 2 to deal with local plans. Now, I was part of the first cohort that actually came in at the Band 2 level. before that, PINS had only done straight into band 1. Now, what the band 2, coming in at band 2 meant was that I could bring all of my skills that I had in the local plan policy world that I dealt with, coming in from local government, because that's where I'd worked before, dealing with local plans and ecology. That's my background. And what was really great at the beginning was all the training that I did. And I did that with my cohort. So there were 10 of us that came in. Half were for infrastructure, half were for local plans. And it was almost irrelevant. We had very similar training, because a lot of it is about the same way that inspectors have to work. And then we went off and did our separate training on infrastructure and on local plans as well. But I think what is very valuable to me coming in at a band 2 level and coming in to deal with local plans work is the support that I have, and I still have 10.5 years later, because I came in 10.5 years ago. I'm still in that cohort. They are my best guys, best support to go to, because we train together. So we're in it together. And that really gives a sense of camaraderie, sense of community. Obviously, along the way, I've made friends with or met other colleagues along the way. And that has been fantastic as well. They've become part of that wider community. One thing I've also learned, although I think it's part of my philosophy anyway, there's never a stupid question that you can ask. Even, I'm 10.5 years in, pretty experienced, you would imagine, but I still ask those questions. Doesn't matter what they are. There will always be a colleague here to support you. You can phone up, you can contact anybody within the organisation, they will assist. And I think that's pretty important, particularly when you're working from home on your own, to know that, I really can't fathom this out, or I really think I just need to talk to somebody about this. Just pick up the phone or go on Teams and just talk to somebody. I think that's been pretty important for me as an inspector. And I don't just deal with local plans. Still, I do work on appeals work, particularly inquiries, which can be long and lengthy and pretty challenging. Some of the ones that I've done more recently, dealing with all sorts of different issues, dealing with issues down in London, high-rise buildings, and then I've dealt with national park issues as well. So it's very broad range. But then I've dealt with a large number of local plans as well, because that's my main background. And along the way, again, it's a learning, constantly learning. And I think that is a very rewarding part of the job. The reason why I originally applied for the job was the thing that particularly struck me was the autonomy. You are the decision maker in relation to the plan that you are examining, or in relation to any appeals that you are determining. It is me looking at the evidence, and therefore I need to make sure that I get to the facts of the case. And that will be my decision. Nobody else can make that decision because they're not looking at the evidence. Now, obviously, it's slightly different when you're on a local plan examination and there is more than one of you. I'm currently doing a local plan with another inspector, and they are not a planner. I am a planner. I'm also an ecologist. They have a legal background, and their attention to detail is phenomenal, which really helps. So those extra skills that have been brought in from people who, you don't have to be a planner to do this, is pretty amazing. And it's amazing to work with that range of people, because you learn so much. And that's why I just find this job very rewarding. Love the autonomy that you have within limits, obviously, within the boundaries of the national policy and the guidance that we have to follow. But I find it very rewarding, and although it's challenging, but I like that. Thank you.
So the closing date is going to be the 8th of June, and then we'll be sifting for around 2 weeks from the 9th of June. So if you're successful at that point, you will get an email advising you whether you've been successful or not. Interviews will take place from the 30th of June right across to the 7th of July. We will then issue results by the latest of the 27th of July, and with an expected start date, which would be in November. We will confirm the start date once we send out your offer if you're successful.